Living as the highest version of you is going to require you to deal with some things that you don't realize comes up for you. And what that really means is that you're going to have to address the lies that you've been telling about why you can't have what you want, why you can't go where you want to go. So a long time ago, 3 years ago, I decided that what I did is I hit the delete button. I decided if I could have anything that I wanted in my life, what would this look like? And at this point, I was living in Minnesota. I was living on the lake. It was beautiful, but it was as if I kind of had this feeling in my body where it was like, this season is done. I have lived it. I have experienced it. Although living on the lake and being on the boat every single day is great, there's more to growth than that, right? That was an old version of me that wanted that. And so I had to kind of think, okay, if this life didn't exist, and if I had no restrictions, nothing moving around me saying what I could or couldn't have, how this could go, I kind of hit the delete button of my entire life. So I said, if I could have this any way I wanted, what I would actually want is I'd want to live in Florida. And ideally, my desire was to have my kids full-time. But what I didn't know is that God, universe, source, insert your belief system, had a much bigger plan for me. And what happened was, I remember the day I called my ex-husband and I said, can I move full-time to Florida? And he said, yes. And I just decided as long as I could see my kids the same amount of time, however it worked, that my roots started to grow in a state that I have wanted to live in my entire life, almost. I was about 12 years old. My dad is a truck driver. He hauls the big oversized loads that jam up traffic. So if you see like police escorts and all of the things, probably my dad. Right now he's in Texas. And I would go on one trip with him every single summer. And the first trip was Pensacola Beach. And when I walked up to the ocean and my feet hit the sand, guess what? Something in me changed. Something in me shifted. Something in me came alive that I had never felt before. And then interestingly enough, after that, so you guys, like the person that you see here now was not the person that I was then. I have been living my life filled with fear-based protection. I mean, I would make a little bit of a leap. I would try, I would fail, and I would run home. That's a whole nother story. I don't think we have time for that today. And so what happened is that I had an opportunity at 18. A friend said, hey, let's move to Sarasota. That's where I wanted to live, or Bradenton area. And I chickened out. I found a reason why I couldn't do it. And then the next was, I ended up with a territory in Florida. Could have moved, didn't. And then at the time when I was married to my husband, he said, hey, I found this amazing, his territory ended up to be Florida, Fort Myers. We can buy a house there. I was like, oh no, I kept making these like fearful excuses of, it was funny because it was like, I was asking, right? I was asking for it, but then the opportunity kept coming. And I found a reason like, oh no, not yet. And it was like, well, I don't know anybody there. I don't have any support. I have these little kids. How am I going to do this? And so my answer was no. And then I get divorced. My kids at the time are 1, 3, and 5. I live in Minnesota, go through a relationship shifts. I moved to Florida, right? Me and my ex-husband made the agreement, and it's shifted over the course of the last 3.5 years of us creating this. And so it's gone, some ups and downs, but we've grown through the process and it's gotten better now to the point where we're pretty stable for the most part. As long as we keep both of us working on our emotional intelligence on both ends. And I'm excited of what we've created, right? I'm excited that the version of us that's coming through this is that anything is possible, maybe more me than him, but he's very supportive, which is very incredible. And I'm very grateful for that. And so I fly up to Minnesota every other week because now my son is in middle school and he can't fly like we used to. I'm not able to pull them out of school like I was the last couple of years. So lots of things have changed, but it's not about like, oh, we do this one thing and then it just kind of stays the same. It's that everything, energy is always emotion. So we're constantly kind of pivoting and pivoting, but the goal is that we're going up, right? We have two phrases. We have like, I'm on fire, I need help, to good, and then we have good to extraordinary. I play over here. I play over here, which means that this is a constant, conscious choice every single day of how can this get better? How can this get better? How can this get better? For a while, I had two houses, one in Minnesota and one in Florida. And that was a no. It was too frustrating. I remember the day where I was like, I don't know which house has ketchup. It was just, it's not my thing. It's not my thing to juggle multiple things, but I'll tell you what is. So what we do is when we go to Minnesota, we rent a hotel, right? Not the whole hotel, just a room. And we rent a car, get a hotel, and we stay in different parts of the Twin Cities and we explore different areas. This last trip that we went to a salt cave, we met some friends at a place that we absolutely love. And then we also went to the Mall of America for a day, and they got to purchase their first big things in their life. So I got to, walk with them through that. They got some Chinese massage, which if you guys follow me on Instagram, you saw that. And we are connecting via experiences that wouldn't happen if I had a house up there, and we kind of got there and it was kind of the mundane same old. And so there's this whole like saying like, oh, well, your kids need stability. Okay. So let's talk about societal stories projected on your best life. Who is a mom to live 7 states away from their kids, right? Why wouldn't you have a house for them if you're going to be there? You know what? Somebody cleans our room. Okay. We have breakfast every single morning the way they want it. Like, we build relationships with the staff on day one so that our entire stay, we're amazingly taken care of. And we get to go on adventures. We usually get a room that has like a fridge. So we've got some food in the room, like really healthy, nourishing snacks. We flow. We don't have like a black and white plan. Like, we stayed in St. Paul for a while and had ballet, and they had custom breakfasts, and the server knew exactly what we ordered and what we drank and how we liked it. And then I'd always get my to-go cup of my black tea with creamer before I left. Like, those experiences don't happen when you have a house there. And so then it's like, oh, well, what about the expenses? Decide that you can find the abundance that's going to fund your desired life. It's not, here's the amount of money I have, and this is the life I'm going to squeeze into it. It's, here's the life I desire, and the money supports it. So your belief systems need to change. And so as you are moving into your best life, your desired life, the direction that you so want to go, what happens is these little things pop up of old belief systems that say, you can't have it the way that you want it. You can't live life the way that you think. And you look around the world and you look for evidence and you don't see it. So if you would have asked me 5 years ago, do you think you'd be here now? And my answer was, I didn't know how. I didn't know how to get to where I am today. And right now it's interesting because now I'm walking through like, what's my next level? What do I want to create? Now it's really more financial family legacy, and retiring my family is really kind of my next vision, which I think my family is going to be on board with. I think that would be really fun to see what kind of family I have when money is not driving them and money isn't the reason why they can or can't do things. And I want them to travel. My brother has a farm in Minnesota, and he's got a ton of animals. And so he came down to Florida, gosh, a couple of years ago now, maybe 2 years ago. And when he like, I got to see him go into the ocean for the first time. We were at Cocoa Beach. I took him to, and the waves hit him, and you could just see his inner child, the joy that came through him. And so his story is like, I'm like, hey, come back down. He's just like, it's too hard to leave the farm, to find somebody to watch the animals, to find the money when they're, funding money for all of these different things that are going on in their life and all their projects. And the kid doesn't sit still. So he's my younger brother. And so just watching that, right? And just being like, what if he had the freedom? What if my parents had the freedom? Like, my mom was just down here. What if they could come whenever they wanted? What if I had a bigger house where it was just kind of like people were coming in and out, right? Like, just my family. And who we've become since I've moved, you guys, I've built a better relationship with my family. closer, like my nephew yesterday when I was getting my nails done, so he made me get Snapchat. I don't use Snapchat. I got it for him. But he calls me on Snapchat because that's all he has access to get a hold of me, and he's young. And we have this incredible relationship that when I lived there, I never saw them. I never went back to Painesville. I was 2 hours away. I never did any of that. Now moving, I have a closer relationship with everybody because we're more intentional about it. So many things have happened that have been so positive in my life that have like accelerated me beyond that I would have never imagined. So the things that I decided, I talk about this a lot of when we're moving into this next level, we're being called to move, and we're being called to move into something that's more aligned, more of a hell yes, is that we decide how we want it to feel because we don't necessarily get to know how it happens, but what we do get to decide is how it feels. So I decided that harmonious was the word that I use. Everybody's in harmony. Our life gets better. It improves our relationship. We become like my kids thrive. Those are the things that I decided. I become a better version of myself. When I'm in Minnesota, there's sometimes like when the kids are in school and I'm like driving around and whatever, and I'm thinking about like who I was when I lived there. You don't know joy until you've leaped into the unknown, until you've leaped into a better way of life, until you've leaped into a higher version of you. That version of me would not feel the way that I feel now. There was a lot of pieces of me that settled. There was a lot of pieces of me that was still in fear. Even the move when I first moved to Florida was very debilitating for me, like processing, like here I am in this new city. I know nobody. And my kids were there, and then I brought them back to Minnesota to see their dad, and I was there alone. And it was like, I actually remember when school started and the kids went back to school in Minnesota, and it was like, what am I doing here? Who am I? Where do I need to go? And so I started walking the ocean every single day. That's where my gym routine really stepped it up. It was because I had all this time on my hands where I was like, okay, 3 hours at the gym isn't a big deal. I met a lot of friends. I created a community. I got to know myself. I got to learn a lot about my body. I got to really invest in myself, which is really powerful. I have the most incredible relationship with my kids right now. Everything at this point, at this stage of the game right now is really harmonious. And when it isn't, the question that I ask myself is, how did I create this? Where did I tell the story that this wasn't possible? Where are things maybe like needing like a little micro shift of how I'm seeing something, or where I'm feeling triggered, or where I'm feeling angry? This whole like creating your best life isn't like, oh, you just get there and then you're just happy. You still feel emotion. You still feel anger and sadness and, all the things. It's just different. It's different because you've created emotional intelligence. You have this deep connection with this inner piece of you that's guiding you, and you really learn to trust it. So it's like, I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. I know who I'm serving. I know what my gift is. I know how to help you, right? Those clients that come to me that work with me that are saying, here's where I am. Here's where I desire to go. And I show them how, because I've done it so many times myself and so many times with clients that like, I can do it with my eyes closed, right? Like I can do it without seeing the person or knowing somebody's background. I can know exactly what you need and where your next step is. It's the last thing. We had a really cool mastermind, and the next one starts February 1st. If you want to join, it's self-mastery. It's really all of these things that I've learned that have created this incredible life and this connection and understanding the ego and navigating the fears and all of these, like, I always say like another level, another devil. Something comes up to like, feels like you have to work through, like you have to release, you have to walk through. To be able to move to the next level. And like, I even look at it as like Mario Brothers, right? When you're playing the game, you get to the next level. I didn't have the whatever Nintendo system. My cousin did. So I got to play it every summer for like a week. But you get to the next level. And I was never good either. And you have no idea what to do. And you like go and you die, and you go and you die, and you go and you die, and you go and you die. That's really what it is. When you want more and you're moving into a new level, not like ego needing a new level because of what it looks like on the outside, but a new level of like expansion and growth and like the innate pieces of you that really desire something more, something better. And here's the thing, there is no there. Okay. I wish somebody would have told me this a long time ago. I thought, God, if I do all these things and I just get there, then And then I got there and I was like, I want different things now. What is this? What is this? And there, it's no there. It's this constant evolution and growth of your lifetime. So if you kind of get into this like cycle, like how I told you, like I'm between the good and extraordinary, and I keep moving, and like extraordinary is kind of elusive because there is no there. You're just keep moving towards something better, something better, something better, something better from your soul, not something better from your ego, not what society says is better. Although I think that, so Bria's, my 10-year-old is going through this right now. My son says to me, he's like, all she wants is stuff and things and what other people are doing and, you know, societal stories. And he's just like, it's so annoying to me to watch her. Like, we had to get Uggs this weekend because everybody in school has Uggs, but not just any Uggs. They have to be the short Uggs. Which you live in Minnesota sometimes. Why wouldn't you get the tallest ones? I think you're going to freeze to death. I don't know. The thing up there is the short Uggs. It is fashionable. It is not that warm. So he's frustrated. And I said, you know, everybody has to walk through this type of season to be able to navigate, right? You have to walk through the desires of the ego and getting there, of having the things, having the money, having the success, having the physical things, the car, the house, the whatever, to realize that they don't make you happy. So I think it's a fine path to take. Many people take it, just don't stay there. So I told him, I said, she's going through a phase. Don't make it mean anything besides this is what she's here to experience it. And we don't experience things by people telling us, we experiencing it by doing. We have to have that like cellular memory in our body to be able to look back and be like, I know what that felt like. So the majority of my clients are successful, have made all the money, have all the things, and inside they're not feeling fulfilled. And they thought that taking this path when they got there, that they would get the love and the acceptance that they so desire. So if that's you and you're like, hey, yeah, I would love that help. Or maybe you're on the other spectrum of you haven't hit the success you want, but I want to remind you, you are successful, even though you may not see it in your eyes, or maybe you're comparing it to something else. Like you already are successful. So don't tell the story that you're not, okay? Unless you want to. But if you're here and you desire to go here, guess what? I can take you there. But you're going to have to change your identity. You're going to have to look at your fears. You're going to have to walk through these stages of the game. And honestly, it's like more of a leap. And to become that person, you need to release the stories of the past. You need to let go of the past completely to step into this new version of you, to allow this future to come in. And so I have all the tools, timeless tools, right? That once you get them, you can use them the rest of your life on repeat, to continue to evolve and grow into the highest version of you. So thank you for joining me today. And I'm super excited to just kind of continue this path and share with you my story in different ways where you can take your life to the next level. Have an amazing day.